And welcome back. Well, it doesn't seem possible that we'll ever forget the destruction left by large natural disasters like the Joplin tornado or Hurricane Katrina.
But did you know about the Great Flood of 1927? It caused widespread destruction and actually killed people in 7 different states. That is the backdrop for this new novel. It's called The Tilted World by husband and wife authors. We have Beth Ann Fennelly and Tom Franklin. Both of them are here now joining us on the Morning Blend. Beth is a prize-winning poet, and Tom also wrote the New York Times best-selling book, Crooked Letter, and of course you're from MISSIPP, right?
Right.
And that's where the Crooked Letter comes from, right?
Yes.
Yeah, both from Mississippi, both teachers too, as well.
That's right. We're
you
professors.
at the university, and it's same with you. Let's talk a little bit about, just because I'm fascinated by this, working together as a married couple. So you're both professors, you're both authors, and now you write this book together. What was it like to work together?
It was terrific to work together.
A lot of fighting.
Come on, disagreements.
There were no fights. There were no disagreements.
Yeah, we probably got into a bigger fight getting lost driving to this studio this morning during the entire process of writing the novel.
Why? Because he wouldn't stop and ask for directions.
Of course,
I think that would be really tough, though, because as an author, what I imagine as a non-author is that you've got this vision for how the story is going to play out, and how do you meld that vision with another person when you're writing? How does that work?
Trial and error.
Yeah?
Yeah. We just would sit together and talk about what we were going to write for that day, and Beth Ann would work on it on her computer, and I would work on it on my computer, and we would just talk about it, read to each other, and choose what was best for the day.
And the truth is, it was fun. You know, because writing's so lonely. And prior to this book, we had each written 4 books by ourselves, just alone in our office with the door shut, sharing the pages at the very end. And this time, we were mucking about. We were sitting kneecap to kneecap. We called it dueling laptops.
Aw, that's cute.
It was fun,
That's
we
cute.
had a good time.
Did you agree on the ending easily?
And the title.
Well, we knew the flood was coming. That was going to be our climax no matter what. So that was easy. The title was really hard. We had about 9 or 10 different titles we tried. We really couldn't find one that we all agreed on. That was probably the hardest thing to find, was the title.
Yeah, I think so, because it's like summing up a novel in a couple of words, which can't be easy. Set the stage for us. What is the story? Give us the plot.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from a suburb of Chicago.
Me too.
You are.
Glen Ellen.
Okay, I'm from Lake Forest.
Okay.
I think we played you in soccer.
Yeah.
And we moved to Mississippi when I was 30. And when we got there, I'd never heard of the flood before, never heard of it. Greatest natural disaster our country had when the big earthen levees walling in the Mississippi, when one burst eventually after months and months of record rains, the water came through with twice the force of Niagara Falls. It was a wall of water 100 feet high, and it scooped out the delta for 60 miles. And a million people.
60 miles.
Yeah, you could boat across the delta, and a million people lost their houses. So how could I have never heard of it, right?
How come none of us have heard of it?
people were plucked off of roofs and the levee and from trees.
We heard more about the Chicago fire than ever something. Yeah,
well, there were a couple of reasons. One is most of the people affected were very poor sharecroppers, and the other is Herbert Hoover was put in charge of flood relief, and it was in his best interest to minimize any reports of damage, destruction, or death.
How much research then could you find, and could you learn? Did you talk to people? How many factual items are in the book?
Well, the flood itself is factual, and all the landscape is real. What's fictional is the town. We made up the town of Hobnob, Mississippi, and the characters are, of course, fictional.
Okay.
I like that. You guys are doing a signing, and you get together, I know, with readers. What can people expect, or what can they look forward to if they're able to join you for that?
Yeah, well, we'll read just a little bit from the novel, not too much, about 12 minutes, and then answer questions. So we'll talk about some of the research we did and what it was like to write together and the genesis of the whole project.
Do you also talk to people who, because we always say everybody has a novel in their head, they're just waiting to write, or they never get around to writing. Do you give people tips to either get started or to get published?
Sometimes we can't help it. I mean, we're both writing professors, and we work with people who are working on writing projects, and we both remember what it was like to not know what the next step would be and how to get your book read or how to get an agent. So we're glad to answer those questions when people have them.
I think that's great. Will you write together again?
We hope so. We plan to.
Good.
That's cute.
All right. Well, people can meet you tonight at 7 o'clock at Boswell Book Company on Downer. That's where you can find them tonight and get their book, The Tilted World. Thanks so much for being here, both of you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Very nice.